How's it going, guys? What I wanted to bring to you today is another sniping round, and I happen to go, I think it's 29 to 4, something like that in it. But I wanted to talk about what I like to call the three different types of sniping, because I get asked all of the time what kind of sniper I am and what kind of sniper they should be from subscribers. And I think, well, it's a subjective question, and even how you would describe the three types that I like to say are even subjective. Each person might have a different interpretation of what they are, how they play, and how they should be played, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, we're all human beings, right? But before I go off on another one of those rants that no one would listen to anyway, what I wanted to basically show you in this 29 to 4 round, and full disclosure, my team was actually quite good. This was a very good round. Not all of them go this way, obviously, but we were a very balanced team. We had a lot of support, we had a lot of engineers, and we had a few recons, which is a lot of the time, I'd say, the best way to balance out a team. If you have too many of one of each, then it's usually not the best idea, because if you're all engineers, then if you lose your push and there's no assault guys to help revive you, then you're kind of screwed. If you're all recon, well, everyone knows that you're not going to push it all. You'll probably just sit back and snipe. And of course, if you're a mix of both with no support, then you'll probably run out of ammo and then you'll lose your ground anyway. So a good balance of all is probably the optimum setup in terms of max success in just about any situation in an FPS. Well, Battlefield exclusively, I guess, because not all of them are going to have those kits. That being said, this map here, I think, was basically the perfect illustration of it. We had a balance of both. I was playing the role of recon in this particular round. The previous round I was assault. I did pretty well in that one too, but this one I switched to recon. The only reason I did too is because I usually like playing recon in this map. You can be quite effective with it, but I wanted to, like I was talking to earlier before I get too sidetracked, but I just wanted to outline why I did well in this map playing as recon. Are the three types of sniping, and the first one, of course, all of them are subjective. My particular interpretation of the three is that there's aggressive recon, which you'll see toward the end as an illustrative example in my eyes. Aggressive recon can be anything from using the 8x scope to a lower magnification scope and going around, staying in medium range. You could even use a carbine, for fuck's sakes, but you can stay in that close. It's basically closer range. You're basically playing the recon role aggressively. Well, I mean, it figures from the title, right? But that's how it works. That's the style. You'll see toward the end, I think it's from like the 10-minute mark on, as a perfect example of what I think aggressive recon is. It doesn't mean you have to use hip fire in a bolt action situation. It doesn't mean you have to basically be continually moving all the time. That's not the example to me. I don't feel to call aggressive recon as a guy that's just non-stop moving, hip firing, to me is a misrepresentation and sort of an illogical example of what I think it is. But that's one of the types. The second type, I'd say, is the hybrid role, and that's sort of what I play in this match. The hybrid role sort of puts you in medium range. It puts you just out of the range of most people that would fire a support or an assault rifle. You might get hit, but a lot of the time you'll be able to survive. And what you're always doing is surveying. Like, I'm using the PLD here to light up targets. There's nothing really to light up in terms of vehicles or equipment. But it does let me spot just about everything out there, not only from my teammates, but from myself to acquire potential targets. But you're not too far away. You're not the long-range sniping role. You're not staying far away from the objective, which would be the third, obviously, is the long-range sniper that sits back, maybe spots from far away. A lot of them don't. And basically target practices from further back, which, if you're an attacker here in Goldman Railway, wouldn't be very effective, because you'd be targeting an uphill basically target base the whole time, and there's so many hills, rocks, and objectives that get in the way that a lot of the time you just don't have a shot, so you might finish the match, say, 2-3-0 long-range sniping in a rush server. But the hybrid role is the one I'm emphasizing, and it's the one I happen to play here, and it's the one that I feel overall, to get to the whole main point of this whole video, is the one I feel can be most effective in the right hands, and can be just as effective as someone running engineers, assault, support. And that's my view. You don't have to agree. I don't expect you to agree. But that's usually the role that I take from it. Playing this hybrid role lets you do several things, and I think it's the most effective way. You can, well, like I was saying earlier, you can spot targets for your teammates. You can spot them for yourself. You can take out stationary targets. You can take out other snipers. You can take out just about everything. You can laser designate with the PLD enemy vehicles. You don't see an example of them in this particular gameplay, but in other gameplays that I have posted on my channel and that I probably will post in the future, you will see it where I designate vehicles, and teamed up with an engineer, we absolutely slaughter, which is a blast in itself. A lot of people don't use it, but they should. But anyway, going on, yes, I think this hybrid role is the best role for snipers. That's, of course, especially in attacking. On defense, you can play more relaxed. You don't have to worry as much about constantly moving around, reacquiring targets. You just move. You can stay in one area and just hold that entire area. Like if you take, well, basically about where I am, if I was on defense facing the other way, if you hold this left lane, you can pretty much prevent an entire team from going near this lane when tag teamed up with some engineers on the left side. With Recon, it can be that effective. The reason why the ultimate reason why, of course, the subtlety of why I'm making the video, more importantly though, is to illustrate that Recon can be effective. Sniping can be effective. A lot of people think that you're just people that Recon are just people that stay back and go 2-0 in a match, or that if you're not playing the role of aggressive Recon that you can't be effective. And I completely reject that hypothesis, and I substitute in the hybrid role, the third option, second one in terms of what I'm trying to say. But I consider the hybrid role a great and very effective tool. Like, I missed a few of those shots I probably should have hit. But more importantly though, like, you should look at the impact of, like, you might say, oh, it's one or two guys sniped, but you should look at the impact. That guy had an LMG that was continually suppressing an entire laneway of people coming up and trying to push toward those MCOMs. Even though most of the time I'd kill him, but the fact that I didn't there is almost moot to the point. The fact that he had to relocate because I hit him, because I happened to be hitting those particular guys, completely changes that lane's dynamic. Now my teammates can push up in that considerable little bit of a time frame before he either resets or retries without suppressive effects. So, and that's why I think a good Recon is almost a thankless role sometimes. You could play that role of taking out guys, or even just getting guys to relocate away from a certain area that's delaying your teammates, and your teammates would have absolutely no idea that you did. Like, it's that thankless role of doing your job, but no one would know. It's unfortunate. Like, these guys here, you might say, hey, they're just holding down that building. But if if me clearing out a few of those guys, if my teammates are now able to push up and take that building, that's a new area of cover, that's a new point of attack, and that's a new point that they can now use as, say, a reference point to go in and continue their push. This guy happened to kill me, so I get his revenge, or get my revenge with some dog tags. Pretty nice. I always love doing that, as a side note. Now, of course, the map layout should basically influence your role and whether you should switch kits, which I've alluded to in several of my other videos as well in my quick tip series. But in this case here, I didn't feel I needed to yet, because as much as there are more buildings which are much more cover and absolutely slaughter a lot of your sight angles and your areas in which you can see your maximum area, surface area towards the objective there, if you know the maps well enough and you know the areas that you can continually push up, then you could still be quite effective. Like, I know they're going to be coming back from the hills. If I stick to this left side, then the only real danger area, where the tank is for me, is where an enemy can come from. Because I know the tank's there, I know that area is clear, so I can continually work on trying to take out, like, look at this guy on the LMG here. Well, I missed him because I just happened to get shot at. But look, notice how he moved after I shot at him? Or I end up shooting at him, taking him out. That was a bad example, but you know what I mean. Getting rid of those guys, those stationary emplacements, gets rid of suppression, gets rid of you being pinned down behind a rock. So taking out a lot of these guys, even though it doesn't seem like much, is actually a huge ordeal, which the average Recon probably wouldn't get thanks for, and the average player wouldn't have the logic to think that this guy's helping them out. But it's how it works. The other thing, too, what I wanted to state before you switch kits, is to always analyze where you think the defenders will be. That's another. It seems like an extremely obvious point, and for the most part, it is, logistically speaking. But when you're in an area, always the first thing you should probably do is look to see where you think they'd be, because a lot of the time when I'm playing as attacker, I'd think, where would the defenders be that can completely cut off an area, completely create choke points, funnel points, where we can completely mow down the enemy team. And if they're there, and I can find them there, if I could take them out, then I'm doing my team a service. And you don't need to be basically the whole point of this video is that you don't need to be a support or an engineer or assault to do it. You could just play that role of hybrid recon, the somewhat aggressive yet also back far enough that you're able to continually spot and take out targets, especially the stationary like this guy right here. Now that left lane is complete, or the right lane that I was just at is completely free, and my teammates can push up. But again, full disclosure, this team was well balanced, continually aggressive, but it didn't matter because I think I played a pretty good role taking these guys out. Now, to sum up, that was basically the point of my video, is that hybrid recon role can be extremely effective, and there's no reason to bash recon for it if the player plays that hybrid role. This is a more aggressive recon approach here, where I'm basically in under 50 to 100 meter close quarters engagements with an 8x scope, playing as an aggressive sniper. But the reason why I chose to do this instead is because I figured this was the last MCOM set. They're not going to be pushing all that hard, so I don't have to worry about being matched up against a guy horribly outgunned. And then I still managed to take this guy out with a pistol in a second or two, despite missing. But anyway, yeah, hybrid recon role. Try it, use it, have success. See you later.